name is Pena-Hernandez, and today I'm going to talk to you about types of volcanoes. Next slide. What is a volcano? It's an opening in the Earth's surface where molten rock can escape from beneath the crust to reach the surface. Molten rock is magma while under the surface is lava once the volcano erupts and flows onto the surface. Volcanoes are typically found in fault lines between Earth's tectonic plates. Next slide. An active volcano is a volcano that has currently or recently erupted in the past 10,000 years. A dormant volcano is a volcano that is capable of erupting and will likely erupt again in the future, but has not had an eruption for a long time. An extinct volcano is a volcano that has cut short of its magma supply. Next slide. The first type of volcano is a cinder cone volcano. It's the simplest type of volcano that are built from particles and blobs of congealed or hardened lava that has ejected from the volcanic vent. It's a gas-charged lava is blown violently into the air, and it breaks into small fragments that solidify and fall as cinders around the vent from a cone to form a cone. Most cinder cones have a bowl-shaped crater at the opening and hardly ever rise more than 1,000 feet above the land. A cinder cone volcano erupts gently even though the lava is violently blown into the air, meaning the lava stays relatively close to the volcanic landform. Next slide. An example of this type of volcano is Pena-Hernandez, found in Michoacan, Mexico. It's the youngest volcano in the Western Hemisphere, and at one point, it's had 9 years of activity, erupting from 1943 to 1952. Next slide. Another example is the Sunset Crater, found in north-central Arizona. It's about 1,000 years old. The last eruption was between 1080 and 1150 AD. The name came from the red and yellow colors on the rim of the opening. Some of the cinders are red because some of the rocks contain iron, and when they oxidize, rust turns red. Next slide. Another example is Wizard Island, found in Crater National Park, Oregon. It's about 7,000 years old and formed after the collapse of Mount Nazma. And some parts of the island were formed by eruptions underwater. Other parts were formed by past eruptions above water that were later submerged into the water. William Gladstone Steele named the volcanic landform with the inspiration of Sorcerer's hat. Next slide. The next type of volcano is a composite volcano. They are sometimes referred to as stratovolcanoes. There are some of Earth's most grand mountains, such as Mount Fuji, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Rainier, and Mount Cotopaxi. There is a crater at the summit of most composite volcanoes, which contains a cluster group of vents or a central vent. These volcanoes have a conduit system inside the channels magma from a reservoir under the Earth's crust that allows the magma to rise to the surface. Composite volcanoes have steep sides as part of the structure because they are built from the alternating layers of lava flows, ash, and cinders that have erupted from the conduit system from within those structures. Due to the continuous alternating layers forming atop one another, it is common for these volcanoes to rise 8,000 feet above their base. Next slide. An example of this type of volcano is Mount Cotopaxi, found in Ecuador. It's 5,911 meters above its base. It's Ecuador's second highest summit and the world's largest active volcano. The most recent eruption was in August of 2015, and there weren't any indications that magma reaching the surface during the explosions, only ashfall. Next slide. Another example is Mount Etna, found in Sicily, Italy. It's the largest active volcano in Europe and is one of the world's most frequently erupting volcanoes. The eruptions are violent, short bursts of lava called paroxysms. The base of Mount Etna is 93 miles long, and the volcano reaches 3,329 meters above its base. During the outburst, it produces enough lava to fill Chicago's Willis Tower each year. Next slide. Mount Shasta, found in Mount Shasta, California. It began forming on the remains of another volcano that collapsed 300,000 to 500,000 years ago. Its activity includes long intervals of quiet, interrupted by short spans of frequently eruptions over the past 300,000 years. Records of the eruptions over the past 10,000 years suggest Mount Shasta has eruptions every 6 to 800 years, and its most recent eruption was anywhere from 2 to 300 years ago. Next slide. The next type of volcano is a shield volcano. These volcanoes have a broad shape to them and look like shields from above. The lava that erupts from these volcanoes is thin, so it can travel a longer distance down the slopes of the volcano, adding on to the shallow structure. These volcanoes are built up of almost entirely fluid lava flows. Shield volcanoes are built up slowly over time and require hundreds of thousands of eruptions of lava called basalt lava to create many layers that build the shape of the volcano. In shield volcanoes, lava pours out quietly from fissures instead of central vents like other types of volcanoes. The lava flows around the base of the volcanic structure, continuing to give it shallow shape. This type of volcano isn't likely to erupt dangerously or violently when an eruption occurs. This type of volcano is mostly known for the chain of Hawaiian islands. Next slide. An example of this type of volcano is the Newberry volcano, found in Deschutes, Oregon. It's built by repeated eruptions over the past 400,000 years. It covers an area the size of Rhode Island. It reaches 7,989 feet above its base, and the last known eruption was 1,300 years ago, and this volcano is still active. Next slide. Another example is the Pena-Hernandez Island, found in Galapagos. It is known as Narborough Island and is one single large volcano that has an elevation of 4,500 feet above its base. It is the youngest of the Galapagos Islands at 300,000 years old, and its most active island. It is the most active island in Galapagos. Since the Galapagos National Park has been opened, there have been 13 eruptions. The opening of the volcano displays as an overturned skull. Next slide. Hualalai is another example of this volcano, found on the island of Hawaii. It's the third youngest volcano and the third most active volcano on the Hawaiian Islands. At least 80% of Hualalai's surface has been covered by flows of lava within the past 5,000 years. More than 6,200 earthquakes have hit the island in 1929 for over a month. It is believed that they were caused by magma beneath the volcano. It's expected that the volcano will erupt again and is considered potentially dangerous. Next slide. The last type of volcano is lava domes. These volcanoes are formed by relatively small, bulbous masses of lava that are too thick to flow a great distance. The texture of the lava isn't as thin as the cinder-cone composite of shield volcanoes. Since the lava doesn't flow much after eruptions, the lava piles over and over around the vent, causing the volcanic structure to grow from within. This allows the outer part of the formation below the openings of the volcano to cool and harden, often shattering in some places, and pieces of fragments fall down the sides of the volcanoes. Next slide. An example of lava domes is Mount Kali, found in Martinique. It's known as the worst volcanic disaster of the 20th century, killing over 30,000 people and wiping out the biggest city in the Caribbean. Only 3 people made it out alive. A mushroom cloud filled the sky, then soon covered the city with ash and lava as hot as 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Next slide. Another example of this lava dome is Chihuahua. Chihuahua is found within the Andes Mountains of South America. It has a torta shape, almost like the shape of an eye. The structure is flat on top and is steep on the sides. The composition is extremely rich in crystals. The minerals found in Chihuahua are plagioclase, quartz, hornblende, and sphene. Next slide. The last example of lava domes is Chonca, found in San Pablo area. It's also known as Babylon. It's formed on the northwest slopes of Azufre volcano. The crystals typically found on Chonca are quartz, plagioclase, biotite, hornblende, and olivine. The lava dome is mostly formed with viscous lavas that help create a cake shape with steep sides and more flat top rather than a pointy top. Next slide. To wrap up my presentation, some of the most amazing landforms come from volcanoes, and volcanoes have made some of the world's most unique features and have been tourist attractions, homes, and even featured in movies. Volcanic structures have completely formed the chain of the Hawaiian Islands and have created some of the world's most well-known mountains like Mount St. Helens and Mount Fuji. Volcanoes are different in shapes and sizes because of the type of lava that has been erupted and the flow of the lava. Some of the volcanoes mentioned are dormant, active, and extinct. The volcanoes in my presentation only touch on a fraction of the incredible examples of the volcanoes in the world. Next slide. The last page to my presentation is my reference page. The end.